Before this story begins, pause for 1 second. If you've ever loved someone you lost, if music has ever reminded you of a moment you can't get back, then this story is for you. And if stories like this touch your heart, please like this video and subscribe to the channel because every like helps these stories reach someone who needs hope today. The lobby of the glass tower was quieter than usual. Not silent, but the kind of quiet that came from people holding their breath without realizing it. It was late afternoon, the hour when sunlight slid gently through the tall windows instead of glaring, when shadows softened and the city outside looked less cruel. Employees moved carefully, voices lowered, shoes clicking lightly on marble floors. At the center of the lobby stood a black grand piano. It wasn't there for decoration. It was there because the CEO insisted on it. No one really knew why. Alexander Rain owned the building. He owned the company. He owned more wealth than most people could imagine. But what he didn't own, what he had lost years ago, was the one thing no amount of money could replace, and no one knew that better than him. Alexander stood near the elevators, staring at his phone, pretending to read an email he'd already read twice. His tailored suit fit him perfectly, yet somehow made him look more alone. His hair was neat, his posture straight, his expression controlled, but his eyes always looked tired, as if they'd been awake long after his body had gone to sleep. He hated afternoons like this. They reminded him of everything he didn't have waiting at home. Then he heard it, a single piano note, soft, careful, almost unsure. Alexander frowned and looked up. Another note followed, then another, not polished, not perfect, but honest. His irritation rose first. He had meetings, schedules, deadlines. This was not the time for noise in the lobby. He turned ready to signal security. And then he saw her. She was small, barely tall enough to reach the keys properly. Her feet dangled above the floor, swinging slightly. Her shoes were scuffed, her dress simple and faded at the edges, as if it had been washed too many times but loved all the same. Her hair was tied into 2 uneven ponytails, and her fingers, tiny fingers, were pressing the keys with serious concentration. People had stopped walking. Receptionists leaned forward. A security guard froze mid-step. Because the little girl wasn't just playing random notes. She was playing a melody, a slow, gentle tune that carried something deeper than skill. It carried memory. Alexander's breath caught in his throat. Because he knew that song. His hand tightened around his phone. No, it wasn't possible. That song hadn't been played here. Hadn't been played anywhere. Not since... The little girl missed a note, paused, then continued. Her brow furrowed as if she were trying to remember something important, something precious. Alexander took a step forward without realizing it. Then another. His shoes made no sound on the marble floor. The song continued, slightly uneven, slightly imperfect, and then, "Sir." The music stopped. The little girl turned on the bench, her feet still swinging, and looked directly at Alexander. Her eyes were wide, curious, brave in the way only children can be. "Sir," she said again, her voice small but clear, "I learned this song from my mommy." Alexander froze. Time didn't slow, it stopped. The lobby, the people, the building, all of it disappeared. All he could see was her. All he could hear was his own heartbeat pounding painfully in his ears. His mouth opened. No sound came out. The little girl tilted her head. "Did I play it wrong?" "No," Alexander whispered, finally finding his voice. You played it beautifully." Her face lit up with a shy smile. "Really?" "Yes." He swallowed hard. "Where did you learn that song?" She slid off the bench carefully and stood in front of him, holding her hands together like she was afraid they might float. "Away. My mommy used to play it," she said. "At night, when I couldn't sleep. Used to." That word landed like a weight on his chest. "What's your name?" he asked softly. "Lily." It felt like the floor tilted beneath him, because Lily was the name of the woman who taught him that song. The woman he had loved more than life itself. The woman he had lost. The crowd in the lobby sensed something shift, something fragile and private unfolding in a public space. One by one, they quietly moved away, pretending to check phones or step into elevators, leaving Alexander and the little girl standing in a bubble of unspoken emotion. "Who is your mommy, Lily?" he asked, even though every part of him already knew the answer. She smiled, unaware of the storm inside him. Her name was Emma. The world came crashing back. Alexander's vision blurred. Emma, the woman who used to sit at his piano late at night, playing that very song while he worked too much, while he chased success thinking there would always be time later. Emma, who laughed softly when he asked her to play it again. Emma, who wrote the melody herself, simple and gentle, saying, "It's not about perfection, Alex, it's about feeling." He hadn't heard it since the hospital room, since the machines went quiet, since the promises he made came too late. And now a little girl stood in front of him, carrying her voice, her song, her memory. "I'm sorry," Lily said suddenly, misreading his silence. "I didn't mean to make you sad." "No," Alexander said quickly, kneeling so he was at her eye level. "You didn't make me sad." He took a shaky breath. "You reminded me." Her eyes softened. "Mommy says songs are like hugs you can hear." Tears slipped down Alexander's face before he could stop them. Security hovered at a distance, unsure whether to intervene. Alexander didn't care. "How did you end up here, Lily?" he asked gently. She shrugged. "My aunt works upstairs. She told me to wait, but I saw the piano. Mommy always said pianos are lonely if no one plays them." A bitter smile touched his lips. She wasn't wrong. "Do you live nearby?" he asked. She nodded. "We used to, before Mommy went to heaven." There it was again, the past refusing to stay buried. Do you remember her a lot?" Alexander asked. Lily nodded slowly. "Every day, but when I play the song, it feels like she's sitting next to me." Alexander looked at the piano, at the bench where Emma used to sit, and something inside him, something he had locked away for years, began to crack. "Would you play it again?" he asked. Lily's eyes widened. "Really? Yes, please." She climbed back onto the bench, feet swinging, posture serious. Her fingers found the keys, and she played. This time, Alexander closed his eyes. The notes wrapped around him, gentle and warm. The imperfections made it real. The pauses made it human. Memories flooded in. Not painful this time, but tender. Late nights, shared coffee, quiet laughter. A promise of forever he thought he could delay. When the song ended, the lobby was completely silent. Then someone clapped. Then another. Soon the entire space filled with applause. Soft at first, then growing. Lily jumped slightly, surprised. Alexander stood and clapped too, tears still on his cheeks. "That was amazing," he said. She beamed. From that day on, everything changed. Alexander asked Lily and her aunt to stay for tea in his office. He learned that Emma had passed away suddenly years ago, leaving Lily behind. That money had been tight. That music was the one thing Lily held on to when the world felt too big. Alexander funded Lily's piano lessons anonymously at first, then her education, then music programs across the city. But more importantly, he started coming home earlier. He started playing the piano again. Not perfectly, but honestly. Years later, at a grand concert hall filled with light, Lily took the stage. Before she played, she looked out into the crowd, and her eyes found Alexander. Now older, still, powerful, but no longer lonely. She smiled, and began to play the song her mommy taught her. The song that healed a broken man. The song that proved love never truly leaves, it just changes form. And somewhere, in the quiet between notes, a promise was finally kept. If this story touched your heart, please like the video and subscribe to the channel, because sometimes the story you hear today is the hope you carry into tomorrow.